obviously very proud of this football team and this staff. After a really tough loss a couple weeks ago and having an open week and just, really putting our head down and just working on ourselves each day. And to be able to go on the road, in a good environment against a really good UTEP team and face a lot of adversity, be able to take the lead early, come out and start fast, face some adversity, be put down in the wire, towards the end on the road, and to be able to find a way to win the game in the end. Road games are hard to win. College football games, period, are hard to win. And that's the third road win since 2020. That's the first non-conference road win since 2018. And, for our players to really come out with that mindset and that mentality. And again, obviously there's a lot of things we got to continue to clean up. And that's us. We focus on ourselves. And again, this is a journey, man, but I thought it was a big step in continuing to build this program. It was a big step for this football team. And to be able to get that done, just really proud of our players.
Coach, you talked about finishing, getting the season finished. And obviously, UTEP Saturday night, a little late push there, but the defense came through. And the offense did what they didn't do. Defense came through, 2 big picks to seal the deal. Talk about that big jump. How big of a jump is that in this program, finishing ball games?
It's huge. You got to learn how to win, and you're put in situations, and you can go back to so many times last year one, phase one of the rebuild. And how many times were we in those close games in the fourth last year on the road and we didn't find a way to win? We just didn't get it done. So to be in that situation, no matter what it was, I thought was a great team win. It was a great moment. It was big for our locker room, and it was big. I just think, for our university to go out there and get that done and to be 2-1 coming back home to Malone Stadium.
Coach, you had mentioned even last week the Alabama game was still bothering. And I think maybe you said that there was a players, kind of almost like a players only meeting. And how much do you think maybe their accountability helped with what happened on Saturday night?
I think it meant everything. Any player, any good team that can go on the road or win at home, any good team, but much less to go through the adversity that we went through. And for our players to have a players only meeting and to see the ownership that we saw in practice every day, that it was the players, and when they own it and when they look in the mirror, what are you going to do about it? That's life. And that's what we got to be built on is look, there's going to be tough times. There's going to be adversity. The only way to build this program where we want it is we've got to go right through it. And I can tell you this now, that that was the hardest thing, I think I've ever been through. That is the hardest beatdown I've ever been through. And, it's your response. It's not necessarily your reaction. It's your response. And so what do you do? How do you respond? So I thought our response by our team, it shows a lot about what they're about and what they're built on and what it means to them.
Describe the scene in the locker room. A lot of guys that enjoy that one?
Absolutely. This team is invested. This team is bought in. And this team is also very competitive, and they care. And I think so. I don't think I was the only person, in the building that felt that way. So that was a big moment for our players. There was a lot of excitement. And here's the deal. That was a team win. If you look at it early, offensively, we get it going. We have some great drives. We score pretty fast. We had 275 yards at half. We're up 24-7. Then we come out, they kick a field goal. We don't execute real well. We don't get the drives going. We have some 3 and outs and some stalls, and that's something that we've got to get better at. We've got to fix. And then they close the gap. And, we were able to take some time off the clock and have some drives. We didn't sustain them. But we were able to rest our defense a little bit, and then they came on the field and had 2 back-to-back picks. So what a team win. What a team win. Luke Stagg comes out there, and it's 4th and 10, and that's a 44-yard field goal, and he splits it right down the middle. Carl Fontroy on their first field goal attempt gets a piece of it. That's 3 points there. So I thought our kicking game we've still got to clean it up. We've still got a lot of things to get better at, but our kicking game, so really that was a team victory. And that's, where we've got to continue to go. We've got to become one. We've got to become one as a city, as a university, as Northeast Louisiana. That has to happen, but we've got to do it in our locker room too. That's not easily done, especially in adverse moments when every man's counting on every man.
This is another game where all three of your quarterbacks played. Was that by design, or is this what we're going to see going forward?
It was by design. Aiden and Hunter, you continue to see Hunter's package grow and the things that he can do. Like, again, against Alabama, we had 17 snaps in the first half. I don't think anybody's getting in a rhythm, but really the punter. So we were able to when we had those drives going, now we're able to start to get in the rhythm offensively. And Hunter is a big part of us, moving the ball and winning football games. Aiden Armenta and then Landon Graves, that was something that he's got some small packages in this deal too that he can help us win, and he's tough. So at the end of the day, it's a team, and if certain guys can help us win football games, then that's what we're going to do.
You bring up 2009 at all. In fact, Arkansas State has owned ULM through all these years.
I got here last year, and I think I was told it was probably 6 months in, and they said, we got to, Arkansas State. I hear a lot about Arkansas State. They beat us 14 years in a row. And that was, obviously, you're like, wow. And then last year we're down there in a tight game, and they've got a good team, and they beat us in the end. And so that's 15 years in a row. So, what an opportunity to play a really good Arkansas State team that I think has the potential offensive player of the year in Rayner. So they've got a 3-year starting quarterback that I think is, again, has to be the chance to be the best in the league. They've got a core of receivers that are as good or better than anybody in the league. And, they've had our number, for years. So I've got a lot of respect for Coach Jones and their program and what they've been able to accomplish in the last couple of years. So nothing but respect for those guys. And, we're worried about ourselves and just getting better each day.
Cody's now on the staff. He showed you that grainy highlights, the footage of him back in the day.
I've seen it a time or two. I've seen it a couple times, but, I think Coach Wells was here the last time, was on the last team that was able to beat Arkansas State. So the thing that we need, it's real simple. We control what we control. And what we can control is our fans and our alumni and our people to get to this football game. That's the key. How do our students help us? If we talk about uniting and everybody coming together, what about making an electric atmosphere? What about the South End Zone squad getting there early and making it better than it's ever been? How about we make everything better than it's ever been, just one day at a time? But Saturday at 2:00 is a big deal. So show up and let's all become one.
It is just one game, but you mentioned this was the first non-conference road win since 2018. Do you feel like this game with Arkansas State's history, this is kind of a narrative, program-changing narrative type of game?
I think it's a great opportunity to play a home game in front of our fans and our fans to really be that extra element that we need. We don't need home field advantage. It needs to be home field, just, controlled chaos is what we need. We need everybody to wear maroon, everybody to wear maroon and come rowdy and come ready.
Obviously homecoming, for the guys, homecoming, big deal. But also, as you mentioned, just the way the past 2 years have gone with Arkansas State. Does that do anything motivation-wise? That change the energy in the locker room for the guys?
No, I think, the thing we have to do, it's kind of like UTEP. And this season is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And in today's college football, in my opinion, you're either built on something that stands firm and you're built on a foundation, and it's not easy, especially we're still in year 2. But we have got to keep that mentality that we've got to continue to grow each and every day. We've got to own a lot of things that we failed at Saturday. We won the game, but there's a lot of situations that we have got to take major steps in to have a shot to win that next game. So to us, it's how do we continue to grow and fix those things and get that much better for an opportunity to play a really good Arkansas State team that we haven't beaten in 15 years.
Defensively, offensive for Arkansas State, teams can throw the ball around. A lot of opportunities for the defense to then make those crucial turnovers. How important is the attention to detail this week defensively?
Oh man, I think it's critical. Look, this room of receivers and a 3-year starting quarterback and a tight end in Fortenberry who's really good. This offense is as good as we're going to see in this league. And I think they are really good. Defensively, we've got to prepare for a really good offense and a 3-year starting quarterback coming into town. So, there's no doubt about it. We've got to be at our best in all 3 phases.
It was noticeable that Billy Pullen wasn't out there. What's the status of
Billy? Billy, he is good to go. He's battled a lot of things, whether it's been back injuries. His grandmother passed away last week also. We're glad. We love Billy. Billy's a big part of this football team, and he's a lot of a big leader in this football team. So we're excited that he's going to be back, ready to go full speed, and let's see who we can be and the best we can be come Saturday at 2:00.
You want to go offensively, you talk about Arkansas State returning a 3-year starting quarterback, but also Aiden Armero for another year, and obviously we saw how well he played last year in that game. Him with that another year of experience, heading to a game with a really good football team. Talk about his confidence heading into Arkansas State.
I thought overall, I think there were around 2 throws Saturday that he'd like to have back. But he threw some great balls, man. He threw on time. He made great decisions. He had great accuracy. I think Aiden's going to just continue to get better. And the more we all get on the same page and we're all precise in our execution, I think we've got a chance to be pretty good on offense with him. And experience and a returning starter is priceless in this league. And all he's going to do, I think you go back and we had talked about it. So James Madison was his first start last year. So that was game 5. So he had 8 starts and now 3. So he still played 11 games. As a starter, he hadn't played a full season. So this will be his 12th game. And I think it's so key because, like I say all the time, he came by experience. His leadership continues to grow. His confidence continues to grow. He continues to mature. He continues to make better decisions with the football. And that's what we got to do. We just got to keep getting better.